Now we'll see the Spring request flow. Spring request flow. See now here, this is my client. This is my client. This is my client. Now here I am going to making the request http://localhost like this. Whenever we are making the request like this, first the request is transferred to the web container. Every server having one container, right? That is web container. Now the web container is received by that request. Inside the web container, web.xml, right? So now web container. Now this web container is loaded by the web.xml file. So many applications are there inside our server. Now every application having one web.xml file. Whenever we are starting the server means the container also is going to be started. Whenever the container is started, all the web.xml files are going to be loaded. So now whenever we are making the request, now the request is going to be transferred to the container. Now the container is going to be loaded by the web.xml file. What contains this web.xml file? This web.xml file contains the dispatcher servlet controller, right? Dispatcher servlet This is the front controller for Spring Framework. Now this front controller responsibility is to load the Spring configuration file, right? Servlet.xml. Servlet.xml file is going to be loaded by the internally automatically. After that, dispatcher servlet is responsible to handovering this configuration file to container. Now the container is going to be activated internally, and the container is going to be creating an objects. After creating an objects, now we need to get all the objects or not. We need to get all the objects. Generally, if it is the normal standalone applications, we are asking to the explicitly ctx.getBean of id4, id2 like that. That is the standalone application. This is what? Web application. This dispatcher servlet is responsible to getting all the objects. Now the dispatcher servlet is getting, and the dispatcher servlet is going to be calling the appropriate subcontrollers. This is the front controller. Now how the dispatcher servlet is going to be getting here? Now the dispatcher servlet is going to making the request to simple URL handler mapping. One predefined class is there. Okay, now this class is make it to the request to that class. Now that class object is required for this dispatcher servlet. Now inside that simple URL handler mapping class object, we can configuring our bean as the inner bean, right? So now simple URL handler mapping, simple URL handler mapping, simple URL handler mapping, simple URL handler mapping. This is the one of the predefined class. Now dispatcher servlet is going to be making the request to that class. Right, this class is available to the in which package? org.springframework.web.servlet.handler package. Now we are getting all the objects. Then next after that, this front controller is going to be calling the appropriate subcontrollers. So if we want to designing the appropriate subcontrollers, how to design, we will see here. Front controller we no need to modifying, we can designing the subcontrollers. So now how to designing the subcontrollers, we can designing like this: public class login controller extends abstract command controller abstract command controller. This is the one of the predefined class available to the org.web.servlet.MVC.star package. Now here we can extend abstract command controller and we can designing the controller part. Otherwise we can implement controller interface and we can designing the subcontroller. Otherwise we can use at the rate of controller annotation and we can designing the subcontrollers. Now after that, here public model and view is the predefined class available to the web.servlet.star package. Model and view, and the next here handle request. Handle request is the predefined method. In struts framework, execute method is there. In the same way here, handle request is the predefined method, right? Predefined method. This predefined method is going to be handled by the totally 4 parameters: HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response. Okay, so now object O, the next bind exception. E now throws exception. Right, HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response, object O, then bind exception. So now here object O, generally our input values are going to be stored in the form of superclass, that is object of object class. Bind exception means duplicate URLs doesn't allowed by this exception class, bind exception. If you are entered duplicate URLs, then automatically we are going to getting what? Bind exception for this application, right? Bind exception. Now here after that we can take login command. LC is equal to login command of O. This is what? Pojo class, right? This is the controller, this is the Pojo class. we have to configuring this controller as well as this POSO class, this controller, this simple URL handle mapping, everything inside this display-servlet.xml. Right? Now after that, generally we are typecasting to the everyday object of object class or not. In the same here I am typecasting to the object of object class. Then next after that, string uname is equal to lc dot get uname. I am getting username and password and everything I am getting. After that I am written here what? If uname dot equals of Durga and pw dot equals of tech, small business logic. If it is a small business logic, we can write here itself. Right? Then after that here return new model and view. Return model and view. Now here failure.jsp. Then close. Right? Else return new model and view. Now here success.jsp. Then next here logical name uname. Then next here data, model data uname. Close the method, close the class. What is this? Page name. This is what? Logical name. In future in JSP we can pass this name and getting this value. Uname is, this is the model data. This is the model having some data, that data I am getting, that data I am passing here. Right? Then if it is a small business logic, we can write like this. We can write like this. Okay, we can write like this. If it is big logics, then we can develop those DAO classes, right? We can develop DAO classes, and those DAO methods we can call in where? Those DAO methods we can call inside the controller only. This is Oracle DB. So now after getting all the objects, this dispatcher servlet, now this dispatcher servlet is going to be calling the handle request method. It is getting all the objects. Object is there. Now it is going to be calling the handle request method. After calling, if it is a small business logic, we can write. If it is big logics, we can developing the DAO classes, data access classes, and it is going to be communicating to the database, and it is given to the some result. Then finally this model and view is going to be producing to the some output back to the controller, either success or failure. Either success or failure message is coming. Then finally this dispatcher servlet is going to be producing to the an actual output. For example, here I am taking the success.jsp right now presentation purpose. Then tomorrow your client is saying JSP is not good look and feel, we have to use XHTML. Whenever we are using the XHTML here, success.xhtml we can pass or not? Whenever we are passing success.xhtml here, now we need to compile entire component. This is unnecessarily headache for the development side. That's the reason what we have to do here, we can pass like this: return new model and view. In this place we can pass this one, model and view. Now here success success, the next uname, the next model data. This is logical name, logical name. This is what? Key. This is what? Model data. Model data. Model data means the login command is there. This is the model. It contains some data. That is nothing but a model data. Okay. Now here we are passing here what? Success, right? That success message is coming to the here. Now what is that success message? Dispatcher servlet is unable to understanding. Dispatcher servlet, if it is success.jsp, then happily it is going to be producing that page. But only success is coming here. Now if we want displaying that success.jsp, now the dispatcher servlet doesn't know what is the success. In that case, what this dispatcher servlet will do, now the dispatcher servlet is going to be handovering to that task to another class called, that is internal resource view resolver. Internal resource view resolver. Internal resource view resolver. It is available to the org.springframework.web.servlet.view.star package. Now that success is going to be given to this internal resource view resolver. Now what this internal resource view resolver will do, it is going to be constructing the physical view. How it is? Property name is equal to prefix, predefined property. Who is given this property? Internal resource view resolver. Then value is equal to what? Okay, just a slash. Then next, one more property. Property name is equal to suffix. Value is equal to .jsp. Like this we can configure. Success is coming, that success is going to be handovering to the dispatch servlet to this internal resource resolver. Now the internal resource resolver is going to be taken by that success, and it is going to appending these two values. Prefix is going to be appending to the slash, and the middle it is going to place into the success, and the suffix it is going to place into the .jsp. Then finally it is going to be physical view. This is what? Logical view. This is what? Physical view. Now this physical view was going to be given to the once again to dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet. Tomorrow your client is saying instead of JSP we can take XHTML, presentation purpose. Now what we have to do here? Here as it is same only. Success.xhtml we can develop. After that, instead of JSP we can take here what? XHTML. Now whenever we are modifying the here XML page, okay, XML page we no need to compile. Okay, we no need to compile. Just sometime we can restart the server. That's enough. Right? So now success.jsp is given to the once again to dispatcher servlet. Now the dispatcher servlet is going to be producing to the an actual output. Now here success.jsp and failure.jsp. Now finally that page was going to be given to the response, right? This is the output result, success.jsp or failure.jsp. You can take any application, we have to follow this flow. and we can developing the Spring MVC related application. That integration is there, starts to Spring integration, that we will see after completion of that starts to Spring Hibernate. Everything I will integrate, I will show to you one application, right? So now this is the way to understanding the flow of the Spring request. Then based on this we will see some examples.